Atha for having an abortion 14 years ago? In 2010 when I was 23, I was dating a man that I loved. He had proposed to me and we were planning a life together. One night we were having a conversation and I had brought up that I at the time wanted 4 kids. He said that was too many, and he really didn't want any kids but would agree to one for me. But he wanted to name it a very specific name if it was a boy, and if it was a girl she would be completely my responsibility. I sat on that for a few days and decided that I wasn't willing to agree with those terms. We broke up and went our separate ways. I ended up moving to a new state within weeks of the breakup. About a month after I moved I found out I was pregnant. A part of me thought maybe I should go back and make the relationship work. I called him twice, and left messages saying it was important that he call me back. I called his sister and told her to please have him call me, and as a last resort sent him an email. 2 weeks in and I hadn't heard anything. I knew I wasn't in a place to care for a child alone. I had my sister take me to get an abortion. Since then I've gotten married. I have 3 kids, 11, 6, 2, and while I wonder how things would have been different if I hadn't ended the pregnancy, I'm happy with life. One of my best friends from the state I left is getting married, and last weekend I flew out for dress shopping. While we were at lunch on Saturday we ran into my ex. He had a 3-year-old little girl with him. We talked and everything was fine. I asked if the little girl was his sister's daughter and he said no, it was his. I learned that he had dated someone for a few months and she ended up pregnant. She decided to keep the baby, and when the little girl was a few months old she dropped her off and never came back. I was teetering between shocked and empathetic. My friend however started laughing. When she finally stopped she said, "That's crazy all things considered." My heart sank when I realized what she was laughing about. I shook my head at her and mouthed stop. She either didn't notice or didn't care, because the next thing she said was, "You break my friend's heart." So she moves across the country and kills her baby and has to start a new life alone. And then you turn around and get landed with the exact thing you didn't want. That's karma for you. My jaw dropped. I couldn't believe that she not only shared that information with him without talking to me, but she did it so flippantly. I couldn't sit there. I put $20 on the table and stood to leave. She asked where I was going and I said home. "There's no reason for me to be here. We are not friends and I won't be coming to your wedding." I made it to the car I rented before I started to cry. That was the end of a nearly 30-year friendship. I went back to my hotel and called my husband. He was just as shocked as I was. He knew about the abortion. He was shocked at friend's behavior. A little while later I got a message from my ex asking if we could meet. I didn't feel like going out, so I told him what hotel I was at. He brought food from one of my favorite restaurants and we talked for a while. He then asked why I had gotten so upset at lunch and I told him everything. He was quiet and then he was mad. He said that it was wrong for me to have gotten an abortion knowing that he had agreed to have 1 kid with me, that I was an asshole for not trying harder to get a hold of him, that I should have flew back and talked to him in person. He said that after his daughter was born his thought changed on having kids, and if he had known about our baby then things could have been different. I told him I tried to contact him multiple ways and waited 2 weeks for him to call me back and he didn't. That the lack of response told me he wasn't interested in talking to me. Then he said he had always regretted losing me, but now that he knows how big of an asshole I am it doesn't bother him anymore. So Reddit, I leave it to you. Am I the asshole? Should I have tried harder to get a hold of him?